Good afternoon, Saitlanders. How are you? We trust that you are well. I have been a little bit absent. This camera is slightly skew, isn't it? Well, I'm going to just pause and see if I can correct it. That's better. It's not right, but it's better. Anyway, I'm sorry that I've been a bit absent over the past few days, but I've been very preoccupied by two very big projects that I'm working on, and they've entailed lots of very long conversations. The time now is 4:05 on the 8th, I beg your pardon, Wednesday the 8th of March, and I still have piles of work to do, but I thought I should do a quick video just on really two topics and some related topics, and that is the present state of South Africa. Now, many of you have heard it all before. Many of you monitor this stuff. Many of you don't need to be told it again, but I think that for the record, it's important that I'll quote, that we basically, that for the record, that we talk about this. In Marula Media. Ekonomie, dit is amptelik beerdkrag moer ekonomiese groei. And yesterday we learned that the South African economy crimped year on year in quarter number 4. So if you measure the figures, the gross domestic product, all of the output in October, November, and December of 2022 against the economic output in October, November, and December of 2021, there's always meant to be growth. You know, we always hear about 7% growth, 6%, 5%. China grew between 6% and 10% for 10 years. And okay, there's meant to be growth. When your economy is declining, getting smaller, it's a very serious matter. There's always meant to be some growth. Of course, there can't always be, but there's always meant to be. And our economy declined by 1.3%. Now, sadly, I lack the statistical or mathematical acumen to do a better analysis than the one I'm going to give you. But firstly, I'll say that if you consider that in 2021 we were in the second year of COVID, we were just coming out of huge lockdowns, there is no way that our economy should have gotten smaller by 1.3% a year later. Of course, we know that the reason is Eskom and other factors, but primarily Eskom. However, what's worse is that 1.3% is adjusted for inflation, but it's not adjusted for the increase in consumer prices. Meaning, well, I'll illustrate it to you this way. Perhaps I can find this illustration and read it to you. I think you may appreciate it. Here we go. So this was also reported yesterday in news24.com. The headline is, ShopRite sales grow almost 18%, 17.5%. But 560 million rand diesel bill eats into profit dividend. Profit, dividend, meaning profit and dividend. ShopRite's local supermarkets business delivered a 17.5% increase in first half sales, measured against the first half of last year. But its diesel bill of R500 million to mitigate power interruptions ate into profits and its dividend payout to shareholders. Shares in the group fell more than 3% to R217.25 just after the market opened on Tuesday. So immediately after the release of those results, boom, the share price is down. its trading profit increased by 8.6%. So the revenue by 17.5%, and the actual profit on trading increased by 8.6%, resulting in a trading margin of 5.7%. So presumably it was about 5.5%. Add 8.5% of 5.5%, you get 5.7%. Okay. Dividends were hiked by 6.4% to 248 cents a share. Okay. Now, there's another way to hear those words. The reason the share price dropped so dramatically is because the shareholders are clever, and they immediately knew that ShopRite's sales must have declined, not increased, declined, because a 17.5% increase is less, not more if you know maths, than the 25%, roughly speaking, food prices increases over the past year. And that is based upon the research by the, I want to say the Institute for Peace and Justice, but I could have completely the wrong name. It's the organization in Pietermaritzburg that is, in every year, typically the most prominent in revealing food price increases. I think they're attached to the University of Pietermaritzburg, the University of KwaZulu-Natal, Pietermaritzburg. And there have been figures bandied about between 15 and 25%. And let's call it 20%. But I'll read you what was written. Then the roughly 25% food prices increases over the past year. Plus, the shareholders would have been furious that in spite of the sales increase of 17.5% in nominal terms, so last year I charged 10 Rand an apple. This year I've been charging 11 Rand 75. That's nominal. But minus 7.5% in real terms once you factor in the inflation, or the food price increases, I should say. And they got a 6.4% increase, which again, if you factor in inflation, could be as much as minus 11.5% in their shares dividends payouts. So ShopRite scored something like 5.5% for free from their shareholders to pay for the diesel. Very, very, very clever. Blatantly dishonest, but almost funny. Now, if you take it back to what we were talking about, namely the decline in the economy, this beginnings of entering a recession, a technical recession is 2 successive months in which an economy declines. It becomes smaller. It produces less goods and services. Then you begin to see that actually the economy, so if you take this ShopRite story and what we explained there about taking inflation and food price increases into account, and you apply that to the economy, and you factor in that the official rate of inflation of South Africa is not a reflection of reality, then you begin to realize that it may be that our economy reduced 3 months compared to 3 months, year on year, 3 months for 3 months, by 5 or 6%. It's a phenomenal number. It's horrifying. Now, as I already made clear, I do not possess the statistical and mathematical training, the acumen required to give you anything more than a layman's assessment. I don't want to mislead anybody, but I think that we're on very safe ground here. By keeping it to a layman's assessment and not pretending to know too much, we're able to say, in fairness, well, the ShopRite thing looks very different when you factor in inflation. The shares dividends look very different when you factor in inflation. When you factor in what people are experiencing at the till, the actual increase in the price of food, what we're saying about ShopRite is fair. Similarly, we might be out by 1% or 2.5%, but it's fair. It's not hopelessly unfair. Perhaps imprecise, perhaps slightly inaccurate, but fair. Then, what we're saying about the South African economy, GDP decrease, is equally fair, especially when you consider those figures in terms of how people's lifestyles are being affected by the present economy. It's one thing to say we went down by 1.3%, but I don't think that there are many people watching this video who earn a salary who would say, oh yeah, things got about, maybe I suppose 1.3% tougher for me. If I am to talk for myself, I had, I believe, 5 bond rate increases last year. 5. Just imagine. Now, everybody's experiencing that in terms of food prices, school fees, fuel, you name it. It really is quite severe, ladies and gentlemen. It's quite severe. Our economy decreased. Remember, the value of the goods and the services is denominated in South African rands. So whether you produce 100,000 cars and 200,000 houses and 400,000 apples and 15 million pears and peaches and bananas and what have you, ultimately, they don't say we produced that much more. 50,000 more pears, 60,000 more oranges, 12,000 more apples, or less. They say we produced 27 million rands worth more of cars. So if you produce a certain amount more in rands, and it's say you want to pretend that your economy went up by 25%. Gee, we produced 25% in rand terms more of everything you can imagine. You have to take account of the value of that rand. Is the value of the rand the same as it was last year? And that is measured in price increases, sometimes in inflation, but inflation is misleading. Let's just keep it simple between you and me. There's no such thing as just say, oh, we produced on this farmer 100 more bananas. If you got half the price for the bananas, or if the money that you got for all of the bananas, including the 100 more, could buy you less than the money you got for the bananas, 100 less, last year. It's really quite simple. So I put it to you, ladies and gentlemen, that we are staring into a very serious problem. And those of you who've watched the videos that Davy Ruet has made, or people have made of him in recent weeks, he did a long presentation, hour and a half, something like that. And it has been posted on the internet in 4 or 5 segments, unless I'm mistaken. And he separately did an interview with Die Groot Breakfast. And I think he may even have done a 3rd interview in recent weeks that I've seen, or a 3rd video recorded presentation or performance or interview. You begin to understand the problem is not a small problem. It is a very big problem. Now, what are the solutions? Saitlanders and I do not have all of the answers. It's a bit like you see a block of cement falling from 10 stories up to land on a man's head on the pavement as you're walking in the opposite direction. You see. Are you able to provide all of the solutions? Do you have all of the answers? No. You simply shout, hey, watch out, whoa, look, jump out of the way. And even the jumping out, which direction shall we jump? I don't know. But as long as Saitlanders, as a very, very, very select group in this country, are the people who know and understand the threat better than anybody else in this country, and endeavor in the best ways that they can think of to prepare to cope with it, we will be in a better position. Not than dollar billionaires, not even than rand billionaires, not than the millionaires of our society, not than the people who don't work for salaries but who, have terrific incomes, tycoons, who can draw money from their businesses. No, but as a group of ordinary people, nobody is better positioned to cope with the emerging developments in the new South Africa rainbow nation of the year 2023. And we know what all of those things are. Shocking governance, appalling state function, because technically the state and the government should be completely different things. An African National Congress that is, as a ruling party, eating its own entrails. Electricity, joblessness, cost of living. Your life may not be easy, but know this and know it well. Your neighbor who's not a Saitlander is going through very similar things to you, and he has no preparations for the event that it worsens. And he has no reference point or no point to cling to in terms of being able to say, okay, gee, I'm not coping, but I wish I could make more sense of it. You're in the position of saying, well, that Simon guy talks the hind leg off a donkey. It doesn't do me any good, doesn't bring my prices down, it doesn't make my life easier, it doesn't increase my salary, but at least I understand, at least I comprehend, at least I'm not like a child in the dark. The lights are on for me. And everybody, at the end of the day, should prefer to have the lights on. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this video. May our Lord, I tell you this sincerely, may He bless and keep you and yours in the difficult times that lie ahead of us. Good afternoon, and God bless you.